Hello, it's Annette here from Annette Smyth Art and Craft Workshops, and I thought I'd sneak in a cheeky little video just to show you how to mix up your pigments and varnish when you're ready to do your dry brushing, and a couple of options you've got with how you actually dry brush your finished piece. So to do this, you're going to need some easy varnish, which has been decanted down into a smaller pot to make it easier to use, and the pigments. And we have a range of matte and metallic and shimmery pigments, but today I'm just going to focus on these three here just to make it nice and simple for you. Just remember that all of your pigments will mix together to make any shades of colours you want. Just go and play, that's the best thing. Powertex also do these sample sets of pigments. So this is the basic one, this is the metallic one, which is great for when you're first starting out. Say if you're buying all of the full-size pots, you can buy these, find out which colours you like and you're using the most, and then buy the pots to go with those. So here we go. So we're going to start with our varnish, and if we're using mattes and metallics, we always start with the matte colours first of all, because your metallics will cover over your mattes. We're going to take a 5p piece of varnish. Now the varnish dries a lot quicker than your Powertex, and it's also not very kind to your brushes. So if you're not actually using your varnish with it, keep your brush in water. Dry it off before you go back to using it with your pigments, but it'll save your brush. So the first thing I'm going to do is just the dry brushing, where we're just going to catch the tops of the texture. So we take our brush and we dip it into the varnish, and then we dip it straight into the pigment and we mix. Now we're looking for a thick paste. So this is a little bit too watery at the moment, so I'm going to pop a little bit more varnish pigment in. If it was too thick, I'd pop a little bit more varnish in. So that's a nice consistency there. By doing this, I've actually broken down all of the lumps in the pigment that come from the manufacturing, but I've also fully loaded my brush with colour. If I went straight onto here now, it would be way too thick and too lumpy, and it wouldn't look nice and delicate. So the important thing to remember when you're starting off is to wipe off your excess colour. And I always say 3 times each side and the edges. And what you've done now is you've still got lots of colour in that brush, but it's more controlled. So the first type of dry brushing, we're going to hold the piece flat, we're going to hold the brush flat, and we're just going to catch over the top. Now we've got a dark background and we've got a fairly dark pigment, so you're not going to see a great deal of it, but I always do the first layer in the base colour. To make this pop, if we just pop the corner into the white and mix it into that puddle, and remember every time we go into the puddle we need to wipe off. And now come back on, you're going to see it start to pop. So this is a piece of cardboard. This here is gauze. So it doesn't matter what your fabric or texture is, you still dry brush in the same way. And you can see there's lots of pigment and lots of colour on this brush. I haven't turned the brush over yet, I'm still using the same side that I started with. I can turn it brush over and I've still got lots more colour on there. So the big thing is, don't rush to put your colour on. Build it up slowly and gently, and you've got more control then as to where the colour goes. So this now is starting to dry, but if I want to make a little bit lighter, I can just dip in a little bit of varnish, a little bit of pigment, and mix it back in. And I've gone up another step in lightness, wipe off, and now come back again and go over some of the areas that I've already covered, so that some of the original colour is still showing, but I'm putting some lighter areas on as well. And you can carry on all the way adding white until you get right up to white itself. So if I just wipe my brush, I'm going to dip in and just go into the white this time. I've got a little bit of the turquoise still showing, but that's fine because it tones it all in. Wipe off. And now I'm just going to go back and catch the very top pieces with just the white. And you'll see it just lifts the whole thing. Okay, So now I'm going to turn over to the metallics. So I'm actually going to wash my brush. And I'm going to make sure that I've got nearly all of the moisture out of the brush, otherwise it will make your mix too watery. So the metallics are exactly the same. We're going to dip into the pigment, into the varnish, into the pigment, and we'll mix. Now you'll see straight away the metallics are a lot thicker, so we need a little bit more of the varnish in there to make that a nice paste. Don't forget to wipe off. It's even more important with your metallics because they are so bright and will make a big statement. And we're just going to brush over, as we have been doing, just lightly to catch the raised areas. So that's the first way of dry brushing. So the flowers here are going to be our focal point, and we may want those to stand out a lot more and be more opaque. So this time we take the brush at the end, and we need a really loose brush, and we're going to flick. We're moving it in all different directions, turning the piece around to make it easier for you. And now we've built up a solid colour, more than the little highlights that we've got over here. And what's nice is to carry on some of that bronze, in this case, back over your original matte colours, because it just then ties everything back in. Okay, and that's a really quick guide to how you dry brush. In future issues, I'll show you how we can mix the colours and do some gradation through the colouring. But this is enough to get you going. Happy adventures. Bye.